Hey there, this is Paradise Mantis, and I'm going to be going over the basics of getting into Hex Shards of Fate. Now, in case you didn't know already, it is currently available on Steam, so the first thing you are probably going to do is go to your Steam account, go to your Steam page, or however else you normally navigate the store. If you have to cut a chicken's head off and, read the bones to get there, whatever works, you do you. You're going to go to the page, you're going to hit download, you're going to wait for that to go. Probably take a while, depending on your internet connection. If you are the sort of person that needs to cut off chicken heads and read their bones in order to access a website or a page or a domain, then it's probably going to take a while. So just come back to the rest of these steps like in a week or so. You're also going to completely ignore the ratings that say mixed or sometimes worse than that. Because it's a bunch of angry lizard people that are just tanking the review scores, and we don't want any of their lizard people opinions. On the insides of the earth, things are very different. Level of qualities vary wildly. Fuck all that. So, once the game is downloaded and you're good to go, the first thing you're probably going to see is a create account screen, but I already have an account, so I'm going to skip that. I think you can figure that out. I trust that creating an account is not an advanced technique. If the game doesn't let you create an account, then contact support, and that's their problem. So once you get past that other step, you've now downloaded it, you've now ignored the review score, you have gotten through the login, and you are now at the first screen, which is a happy little splash screen. I think that's what they're called. Maybe backgrounds, whatever you want to call that. Now, you're going to notice right off the bat that there are 3 heads on a stick, a scantily clad woman, and a bunch of really spooky skeleton spirits. So, this is not for kids. If the Steam rating didn't set you off already, does Steam have ratings? I don't actually know. Also, there's like some swords involved, so not for kids, not for kids. That's good because there are a lot of things you can buy, and kids should not be getting into their parents' credit cards in order to do that. So you have this whole big, beautiful screen with a lot of buttons, and the first one you are going to really interact with is right up there in the top right corner is a little cogwheel looking thing. You're going to push that, like you're going to hit that hard. You're going to smash that motherfucking like button. And when that opens up, it should automatically be set to display. Now you're going to go to background, you're going to open that up, and you're going to immediately switch it back to the Hex logo, because the Hex logo is the single most important piece of art that the game has, which is why it is just fucking everywhere. It is on every sleeve, and sometimes it's the whole sleeve. So you just need to understand that the Hex logo is way more important than appreciating any of the quality art that comes from their hired artists. Logo. Set it, hit apply changes, and then hit accept. Make sure that it has been accepted. Otherwise, you're going to have a subpar experience. Also, probably check your resolution and, enable hints. And you turn the little graphics slider down if you have like a toaster oven. Again, chicken bone reading, man. You're going to have to slide that down. I don't know how it works in Zimbabweistan, but get your shit together. After you've done that, you're going to notice that all of the previous child-unfriendly stuff is gone. So now you can bring the kids into the room and you can, show them this great game that you found. Now it's very plain and it says Hex, like everywhere. There are like 3 Hex logos. That is the optimal number of logos. If there are less than 3 on the screen at any given time, Corey will actually have a heart attack. So you need to make sure that that is a consistent thing throughout your gameplay. Then you're going to scroll down through these little buttons on the side. There are about 5 of them, the big blue ones. Any of these other buttons right now, we're just going to pretend they don't exist. So you're going to read the little Frostring Arena thing, because, it's got a little tooltip that you can read, and it's going to say it's recommended for advanced players. So step 1, as you've actually gotten into the game and you've done the basics, step 1 is to actually read what is written. Do not go to the Frostring Arena with your base set of cards. You will get absolutely destroyed. Hogarth himself will come down out of the arena and just smash your skull in. You don't want that. You're going to go up, and then you're going to see campaign, and right there, it says recommended for new players. That's us. That's what we're doing. Found it. Good job. We're already learning. Great. We're going to push that. Again, smash that motherfucking like button. You're going to go to your champion selection screen. There's going to be a little Earth thing rotating over there. That's not Earth. That's Entrath. Now, I know you might have gotten confused by the giant circling crystal ball and the two volcano things and the fact that you can't find America. But this is actually Endrath. I know, I was confused too to begin with. I thought this was some, post-apocalyptic world, where North Korea won World War II. I don't know if North Korea can win World War II, but there's infinite universes, so, it's whatever. It's going to keep spinning. Just pretend it's not there. It's not important. And then you're going to see, like, a whole bunch of, well, you're not going to see a whole bunch of champions. I'm going to see a whole bunch of champions because I have put too many hours. So it's going to be probably empty. You're going to go down to the little button that says create a champion. It's going to be highlighted in this like reddish orangish bronze sunrise thing. Sunrises are good, so that lets you know that if you push that, good things will happen, unless it's like a cancel button or something, in which case you probably, it's just still a good thing. You want to cancel. So yeah, glowy buttons are the things you're highlighted on. If you somehow can't follow your cursor for whatever reason, if there's some bug that, replaces your cursor with an invisible one. And then we're going to move on to this little creation screen. Now, the first thing you're going to notice is everything. Everything at once. It's going to be, it's just too much information. It's going to blow your mind. So we need to just take this piece by piece. Faction is Ardent and Underworld. That is if you are more of a Abercrombie and Fitch guy, or if you're more of a Hot Topic person. They all have different races. I believe there's 4 per. And something else to note is that you can't be a female dwarf or a female venin. That's a thing that people kind of noticed off the bat. So, let's just get that out of the way. The dwarves were all made to just be like this one thing. So, I think they're made of rocks, and rocks don't have boobs. So, let's be realistic here. Venin, I don't really know what's up with that. There is like a lady Venin. Most of them get like smashed upon birth, though. This is lore stuff. You don't have to worry about that. So yeah, none of those. No ladies of those two. So if you were really looking forward to being like this lady spider orc thing, like, you really like Monster Musume and you came in here for that, I'm sorry. It's just not happening. You're going to have to make your own fan art. But please do. Please make that fan art. Everyone will really appreciate it. So once you've figured out the faction and the gender, which is obviously a big thing, the only thing that really changes is the art, but some art is better than others, so you probably want to pick the one with the best art, quite frankly. Other than that, it doesn't matter. And then you have a more important choice in the race. All the races have different talents set up. Every race has a unique talent for every kind of class, and then every race class combo has another unique talent. So you are probably going to just click through a couple things and have a look at everything. Over to the right-hand side in the background section, it's going to give you some information on the class. It's going to give you some information on the race's specific interpretation of that class, some stuff about their abilities and their starting shards. We will get into that probably way later. That little heart icon below the talents is your health, your starting health for that character, and then the hand icon is your starting hand size. I think it's also your maximum hand size. Maybe. Not sure. Don't quote me on that. Clerics are going to focus around what are known as blessings, and they are 0-cost cards that get added to your deck that replace themselves as cantrips, and then they also give you health. They also do different things depending on which kind of cleric you are. Warriors are all about fighting creatures, just straight up smashing them in the face or smashing your opponent, depends. Mages are advanced, I'm sure it says that somewhere, and really complicated. I really would not recommend that as a starter, but if you just really are a glutton for punishment, you go right ahead. Mages do magey things. They also have a low starting health, which means if you don't hit the ground running and your deck is not well constructed, you are going to get absolutely destroyed. So don't do it. Rangers are the best class, and they have pets, and pets are like bonus troops, and that's fucking amazing. Especially the Venin Ranger, unblockable, just incredible. So if you want to have the easiest time in the world, you probably want the Ranger or the Cleric. Warrior is solid too, but less easy mode. Mage is hard mode. So once you figured out what you're doing, you're gonna go over. You're gonna pick your race. You're gonna pick your faction, gender, race, class. So I'm going to immediately ignore the advice I gave you because I'm not big on that. And I'm going to start with a Shinhair Mage. I don't like the man art, so we're going with the lady art. And it's also important that you have to name this character. So you need to think of something really like that means something to you, that is just critical to your experience. It has to be an important name that will just last the rest of this character's career, because I don't even know if you can change it yet. So take this very seriously. Pick a very serious name that matches the thematics of the race or class, and then you're gonna hit the create a champion button because you're done. And then after you've done all of that, you're gonna start in what looks like a really weird text adventure thing going on. They've got like some comic book speech bubbles. I'm gonna just, lay it out flat. Nothing they say really matters. You could just skip it. If you want to read it and you want to be informed, you can go ahead. But unless the bubble is colored, like in a golden sort of thing that actually does something, it's not important. You can just click through it. You can just click through all of it. So if, for example, you just don't really give a shit what's up with these rabbits, just go ahead and click. Click hard, click fast. Click like someone's testing your words per minute. Well, click like someone's testing your words per minute, and words per minute was based on the number of clicks per second. Click like a professional StarCraft 2 player. That's what we're going with. Once you get through a bunch of clicking, you're going to find the apprentice for your race or your mentor, whatever they're called. So for the shin hair, which are the little rabbits, that's going to be Sora, and they're going to take you into your first game. There's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to be coming at you fast, hard, loose, maybe not loose, but fast and hard. So you got to get ready for that. So if you're not ready for that, you go ahead and tell them you're not ready, and you need to go and spend a little bit more time prepping yourself, getting ready for this giant screen of information that's going to come like careening down on you. But once you're ready, you're going to hit that button. Now, there's going to be a whole lot of stuff. You're going to see a whole lot of things and a lot of animations. Your starting hand's going to come, flying out at you. Don't worry. It's not like that Uno attack thing where, cards getting shot at you is bad. This is good. You want those cards. You're going to see a little mulligan screen. Okay. I don't think I have to explain how a mulligan works, but just in case I do, you're going to press keep hand if the hand looks good and playable, which you don't really know yet, and you're going to hit mulligan if it's not. Now, Hex has some back-end math that is going to try and make sure that you have at least one resource in any starting hand, so that you don't get like no resources and you get a completely unplayable hand. It's going to shave off the top percentages where you get too many resources and you get too few. It's very slight, but it will increase the likelihood of playable hands. And that's just one of the things that Hex can offer that, your local card shop can't. Unless they are, like, shuffling for you and, like, Bob is altering your starting hands with a mechanical degree of efficiency. Now, that might just be Bob's thing. And if that is, Hex is not going to offer you anything different. You have a special relationship with Bob. I would really recommend fostering that. But besides the mulligan screen, we're going to go and just look at the first troop we have in our hand. This is going to be Killblade of the Milky Eye. It's got some lore that we don't care about. If you do care about it, I don't know why you're here, because I am not into any of that. It's got a little scarf going on and some like ninja gear, because it's a little ninja dude. Up on the top left, where we're going to start reading the card, because we read left to right, because we're not weird tentacle people. In that little hexagon, God, I hope it's a hexagon. Yep, 6 sides. Good. We're good. I can identify shapes. My geometry teacher will be proud. It's going to have a big, bold, beautiful 1. That is the number of resources we are going to have to pay to play this card. Now, we'll get into resources in a second. So just below that is a little blood teardrop. Now, that's not the number of people that this rabbit has killed. It's probably killed a lot more. It's a pretty scary rabbit, so it's not like, a prison tattoo. That is the shard type that we are going to need to play this, but we will, again, come back to that. It's going to have the name up there that I already read, Killblade of the Milky Eye. There is no space between kill and blade. You would think there would be, and I keep typing that into the Hex TCG browser, and it doesn't come up right, because I'm an idiot, apparently. Moving on from that, down below, there's going to be this little red logo down here. That's the Underworld symbol from the faction you chose earlier. That's the same thing. It means the same thing. It's whatever faction they are. That doesn't matter until an effect cares about it. So if the effect says, Underworld troops you control get get a free bagel. I don't really know what to say here without getting into something technical. So if underworld troops you control get a free bagel, look at that. He is an underworld troop. He gets a bagel. Neat. It's going to say troop, which is the same thing as creature, but is legally distinct from creature. So that's important. Important that it's legally distinct. So troops are going to be things that you play on the field, and they do most of our fighting for us. They are going to stay on the field once you played them there until they are removed from the field through, whatever happened, or, your incompetence, more than likely. It's also going to tell you what kind of troop it is. This is a Shinhair, which is little rabbit people. That's what I have picked. Whatever you pick, you probably see different cards. Unless you also picked a Shinhair, in which case you might see the same card. And then we're on the same page. We're, buddy, we got it going. And then it's going to have a class sometimes. So this is a Shinhair Rogue. Now, we can't pick a Rogue because Hexent has not released Rogue yet, or Warlock. But, we'll forgive them for that because we have some other cool classes, and Ranger's pretty cool, so, whatever. And across from that, further along, we are going to see this little set icon. Set icons come in different colors based on their rarity, white for common, green for uncommon, blue for rare, red for legendary. Not important right now to know, but those are the rarities. If you're familiar with card games, which, God, I hope you are, otherwise this is going to be a complete clusterfuck. You understand that already. At the very bottom of the card, in that little axe icon, there's going to be a big bold number. That is our power. I don't know what we call it exactly. I'm going to call it power. And then to the other side, we have health. So this is a 1 cost, 1 threshold, 1 blood threshold to be specific, 1/1 with lethal. Now I skipped over lethal because that's a keyword, but over there, if you were astute, you could see on the left in a little box, it explains how the keyword works, which is fucking fantastic. You can just, like I said, reading. Gonna do a lot of reading. It's gonna do you a lot of favors. So any amount of damage this troop deals is fatal. Good. Don't know what that means yet. Moving on. So the next kind of thing you're probably gonna see in your starting hand is gonna be an action. So, again, same stuff going on here, except this one is white with a little gem and a little star instead of black. Now, black gems mean they're standard legal, and white gems mean they are not. So, that's probably not important right now for the PvE, so we're going to skip right over that. I just want to mention it so that, you can say that I taught you well and I didn't skip over things. It's going to say basic action as the type of card that it is. Actions. You slap them down, they resolve their effects, and then they go away. Real easy. Basic means it can only be played on your turn. That's always what basic means. That's just what it is. Unless it says quick, in which case it's not basic, and you can play it whenever you want. So if you're coming from like a CCG, like Hearthstone or something, quick is going to be a whole complicated mess that you don't get yet. Again, set symbol, rarity, and then it's not going to have a power and health. It's going to instead have just an effect because it's not going to stick around. And it says each troop you control gets +1/+1, called Evolve. Now, that is an okay card. It comes with the starter, and it's going to do us some favors. The art is also kind of neat. You're like turning a mouse into a lion. I think that's neat, at least. So +1/+1 is something I'll probably go into a little bit later because that's also a little complicated, the way Hex processes that. So we're going to move on to something else. So, like I said before, there are quick actions. So, a basic action can only be activated during your main phases. A quick action can be activated at any time the game lets you. So, anytime. Anytime that the game is just like, hey, do you want to use an action? Boom, you can do it. So that is great. Also, it's going to introduce us to another little mechanic, Sky Guard. Lets it block as though it's had... English. Lets it block as though it had flight. Now, you don't know what flight is yet, but, that's neat. Also, the art is neat. Lots of bats and birds and an angry tree. You always got to appreciate the art. Also, there's some lore stuff going on down there, but like Balthazar, whatever. So now that we understand a little bit about how the cards work, we're going to look at a card that looks completely different because it's not really a card. It is a card, but it gets complicated. So it's going to say Wild Shard. Now, a shard is what we mentioned earlier when I said that the Killblade had a blood shard. That was part of its requirement. It has a blood threshold is the term for it. Resources, the most important thing to note is that they have 1 out of 1 or 0 out of 1 or I think that's it for right now. Potentially other things could be written here. It's also going to give us a green threshold or a wild threshold. It's going to say gain little symbol, and it's going to say gain a charge. Now, charges are a little bit of a different thing. So the thing to note is that this resource card is going to say resource right there, is standard, which means you can play as many of them in your deck as you want. So that's good. You're going to need a lot of them. So for the resources, what they actually provide, it's going to, down there below your starting hand, it's going to have a little 0/0 thing. So when you play a card that has a 1/1, it's going to go up by 1/1. That's going to offer us available resources and maximum resources. So the maximum is what you spend. That replenishes every turn. So if you're like used to Hearthstone, it's sort of like crystals. And then available is what we have available to actually spend this turn. That should be kind of self-explanatory, but if you don't get it, the client will make it pretty easy to understand, because you just won't be able to play cards you can't afford, and it's going to seem like a magical mystery machine if you don't understand. Over to the left, we're going to see a bunch of stuff, including our picture. There they are, and then it's going to have your name, and then your character name, and then your level, and then your class up there. And that little circle with the number is your starting health, which is pretty good. So as I explained earlier, troops are going to be what we play, so they're going to play first. Now, as you can see, they have played something in order to play their Shinhair Militia. So the Shinhair Militia requires a wild threshold, 1, and it has 1 cost. You could probably guess what they played. The wild resource that we looked at earlier. It gave them 1/1 and a wild threshold. And they needed 1 resource and 1 wild threshold, and they have spent it to play this card. So that's how that works. Looking at our hand, you can see that there are different kinds of shards. There is blood, wild, ruby, diamond, sapphire, and some that don't have a color, but they're not really, they don't give you thresholds. So each one of these little notches down here in the bottom, there's 5 of them, that's where thresholds can potentially be. So then since there's 5 kinds, that's how that works. So the important thing to note is that if we want to play our Killblade, which we do, because it's a 1/1 and it's going to do work for us, we don't want to play that wild shard we were looking at earlier. That's not going to help us. We want the blood shard. So once we played that, instead of the wild shard, you're going to notice that the card immediately turns into not a card. It turns into a little sparkly thing of light, and then it's going to like shoot towards you. That card does not go to the discard. It does not go anywhere. It just goes. Like, it's gone. Your champion pretty much absorbs that resource and can then start using it. So you can think of thresholds like a type of resources that you've absorbed. So if you absorb 2 blood resources, you have 2 blood threshold. Same with wild, same with anything else. It's always counting the amount that you take in. So a resource is not like a land card in that it stays around and you have to continually tap it. Once you've played it, it's yours. It's kind of like you ate it. You just kind of like ate it and put it inside of your stomach, and now you can just constantly vomit out cards. Probably not the best analogy, but that's how I think about it. So now that we've played that blood threshold, boom, right there. That card is going to light up, just like the shards that lit up before. So the shards are not lit up currently because we can only play 1 shard per turn. Probably didn't mention that earlier. It's something that the client will definitely make sure you know. So a card that's lit up with this little golden orangish aura is a card that we can play. Now that I have played the shard, I can play the Killblade. So I'm going to play the Killblade, and these big old phase buttons, I'm going to hit end phase. You just got to keep clicking through them, especially for your opponent's turns. If you don't have any cards lit up, you don't really need to hold it. There is an F10 button that will automatically go through all of the phases of the turn that is currently on, and it'll stop on combat. But double check your settings if you're really interested in that sort of thing to speed up things. You might want to bind some buttons to your mouse. You also might want to look into what all the stops do and how they work. There are resources available if you're interested in that sort of thing. For the people who are not, you're just going to click on the big old button. On their turn, they have now played a wild and a blood threshold from their blild. Yeah, blild is new secret shard. No. So they have a wild and a blood threshold, and they have 2/2, which means they played 2 basic shards that have given them 1/1. So now they got 2/2. Adds up. the rest of that is going to play out, and I'm just going to skip around and take screenshots of things that are worth talking about. At turn 3, 4-ish, they're going to play this Wretched Wrangler card. Now, the important thing to note about this that we haven't seen previously is that it has an ability called One Shot. It has the literal number 1 hyphen shot. I don't know why that isn't just spelled out. It saves card space. I personally think it looks terrible, but whatever. One shot is what it says on the tin. You're going to play this one shot ability, and it's going to not exist anymore. So something to notice about how Hex does things is that when a card is altered, it is altered. It is not changing. It's not just going to go back to your hand and like revert all its changes. That's not how it works here. So when you use that one-shot ability, that is gone. It's off the card text. So if it goes to your graveyard and you try to reanimate it, it's not going to have that anymore. But I will probably get a little bit into that again when we talk about some of the things that do that. So Sora over here has what's called a champion power. Your character and any champions that you use are champions, and they have powers. When a resource is played, not only does it give you resources to spend, a shard identity to absorb into threshold, it also gives you a charge, usually. Sometimes it just gives you charges. Sometimes it has like a 0-1, so you don't get a resource to play that turn, but you get like a permanent resource. Different resources do different things, so keep that in mind. But a charge power is always going to have a little block number, and that block is going to tell you how much that costs to activate in charge. Circles, which, let's see, Wretched Wrangler doesn't have one, but I'll find a card that has a circle at some point. Circles are resources, and squares are charges. So if it's a little circle that says 3, you pay 3 resources. If it's a little square that says 3, you pay 3 charges. Abilities like these, charge powers, also have threshold requirements. So in order for Sora to use her ability, Sora's Blade, it's going to require that she has a Blood Wild and 3 charges. So in most cases, she can only play that on turn 3 when she's played 3 resources. And at least one of those resources has to be blood, and another one of those resources has to be wild. At which point, she can do target troop gets +1 power or attack. Let's say attack. Sure. The thing to note is that it doesn't say until end of turn or any of that. So it just says +1 power or attack. One of those. That means it stays forever and ever and ever and ever. If you take this card, if you bury it in your backyard, if you put it in a little time capsule and you come back 6 years later, it is still going to have that stupid +1 stapled onto it. So unless you do something about it, that stays. This is really important to understand about how Hex works. If the card changes, it stays changed. If you don't remember that, you're going to get bamboozled all the time because you might have come into this with Magic experience or something else where the card, if you bounce it to your hand or something, it changes. Not so. It's going to stick around. If you try and bounce a card that's got like +16 million and you think it's going to go away, it's going to come right back and it's going to smash your face into the pavement. Don't do it. So anyways, I got some more examples of all these little lit up lights because now that I have played a wild threshold instead of the 2 blood, I can play all the wild cards. You'll also notice that I cannot play the Bucktooth Commander because I don't have 2 wild. So it's got 2 little leafy symbols in there. That means I need 2 wild, and I don't have it yet. I will get it. Trust me. I have contacts. So I can play all the other ones, though. So the thing to note about mages is that they're fucking complicated. But in general, your campaign heroes have a lot of stuff going on. That little resource in the circle that's got like a little lightning bolt on it is spell power. That is not my charge power. My charge power is below it. It costs 3 charge in a... God damn it, Hex. I thought you were consistent about this square stuff. Anyways, that means charge, even though it's in a circle. Just, forget I said that about squares and circles. I lied. When you activate that, it's going to give you a random number of spell power between, I think 1 and 3 to begin with. I'm not sure. And then you're going to have these 2 little icons below your character name. And those are abilities that you can activate. So if I spend 3 charges that I have now from 3 resources, it's going to give me some spell power. And then I might be able to activate one of the powers down there. next image that we're going to go through, I have used those charges. I have used that power. Now I have 5 spell power. 5 spell power means I can use this little orb icon, which is the spell Soothsaying, if I wanted to use that, which I am going to use that to at least demonstrate how this works out. It's going to go up into a little gray line. That gray line you're probably going to see a lot of times when other cards are being played. That is the stack, sort of. That is your little opportunity window as well for priority and stuff, sometimes. So when it goes there and it pauses that to give you a selection, that means it's, going on the stack to do something. Other cards can enter that if they are quick, which is a whole other thing that is its own interactions. Cards resolve based on, the latest one that was played, first one in, first one out. So if I activate my champion power and they could react to it somehow, then whatever they played would activate first. That's hard to really explain here, but I just want to go over that for right now. When you are selecting a card for an effect, it is going to highlight in this greenish color instead of the orangish color that says you can play it. So that's going to help you differentiate if you somehow forgot. If you zoom in on the card that's been played with your little mouse wheel or whatever command you've bound that to, it's going to show your character portrait, and then it's going to have some information about them. So it's going to say champion instead of troop, and it's going to have no power, no strength, no fucking attack levels. Who cares? It's this, I don't know why I'm wasting time on that. And 20 health. So your health is going to, be constantly getting knocked down as you take damage. Same thing as troop health, except, when you die, everyone dies. And then it's going to have your card text, because champions are kind of like cards. So for me, the ability that I'm using right now is what's going to be in the text box. And it's going to say 5, the little icon is spell power, draw a card, then choose and discard a card. The card that I select in blue is going to be the card, or greenish blue, is going to be the card that I'm discarding, because I've already drawn a card and I didn't have to select a target for that. If that makes sense. It's going to do it in the order that it's written. So I'm going to draw a card, and then I'm going to pick a card and get rid of it. After we've done that, you're going to see that that gray line comes up a lot now that you're paying attention to it. And now that we have the resources and threshold to use cards such as Strength of the Redwood, it's going to ask us if we want to use that card, because we can. You're probably going to say no because you don't want to buff their troop. But anytime they do something that offers a reaction and you have a quick card, you are offered the opportunity to use it. So that's how quick cards work. The same thing is going to apply for blocking and attacking. It's going to ask you for a little bit of input. The thing to note is that when you are selecting blockers, and I think the same thing applies when you select attackers, it's going to temporarily tell you you can't react because you are making a choice right now. If you're doing targeting or making decisions, the cards are not going to light up because you can't react to a decision that has not been made yet. That's how that works. If you want to react, you have to wait for them to actually make their decision. So, you can't walk into the coffee shop and tell them they fucked up your order before you have actually given them the order. So in order to surprise our opponent with the Strength of the Redwood, we're going to first declare blockers. Once we have done that and hit the little confirmation button, the next step is going to be deal combat damage. We don't want it to deal combat damage. That thing's got 4 power. We only have 2 toughness, or we have 2 health, or whatever. We will die. But we can use our quick action, play Strength of the Redwood, and skaboom. Now we have more toughness to survive, and we can also kill them. Also, we have Skyguard, which is not important in this case. And then, boom, they're dead. We lived. That's what's great about quick actions. You can just fuck with them. So, again, we're going to look at the Wretched Wrangler now that some stuff has happened to it. It's been buffed by the power, which means that little green number means that that has gone up. If it's red, it's gone down. And that one-shot ability we saw earlier is gone because it has used it. So that is the way that card is forever for the rest of the game. Until you are done with this game and you start a whole new game, that is staying that way. So, like I said, you can put it in a time capsule, you can chuck it into the stock exchange and, hope it accrues interest. It doesn't matter. That's going to be a 4-2 for ever, and ever, and ever, and ever. Moving on. Bucktooth Commander here has another thing that we have not talked about yet. It has a one-shot keyword ability, which is a little different. It's Death Cry. Death Cry is whenever something dies, it activates this effect, but it's a one-shot. So what's going to happen is if Bucktooth Commander dies, it's going to Death Cry, put it back into play. and then that's going to be a one-shot, so it's going to wipe itself off the card text. Not going to be there anymore. So it can bring itself back once. Make sense? Good? Moving on. As I said before, green numbers, big. Red numbers, small. So that Shinhair Militia used to be, what is it, a 1-2? And now it's had -1/-1 applied to it, so it's a 0-1. All of the troops on my side have been buffed up, so their numbers are in green. That Battle Hopper used to be a 0-1, now it's a 3-4. And Shinhair used to be a 2-2, as we saw earlier, the Bucktooth Commander. They're all Shinhair, whatever. So it's gone up to 4-4. That's going to help illustrate the difference here. Just look at it. Look at how great that is. Isn't it wonderful how numbers are colored and easy to keep track of? Unless you're colorblind, in which case this isn't wonderful. I think there's a colorblind option. Haven't gone over it. You'll figure it out. And then you do that all right, you win. Boom. The little fancy sword, wings of electric light. I'm not sure what's up with those. And that means you win. And right there you can see, again, the Hex logo. 2 of them. One of them's got a sword through them. So you... Oh shit, there's only 2 of them on screen. So sorry, Corey. We gotta move on. After you've done that, you're gonna get a reward screen. It's gonna say plus 100 experience, 50 gold, and then 100 experience again. Not sure why that's repeated actually. Kind of weird now that I think about it. There's gonna be a little icon up on the top. It's got some gold pictures and stuff. It looks neat. Not a lot of people look at it. More people should look at it. So you might be wondering, if there's experience, can my character level up? Yes. Yes, they can. It's fucking sweet. And there's gold. Can I buy things with that gold? Yes, you can buy lots of things with that gold, but you probably want to exchange it into platinum a lot of the time, but that's a whole different thing. Once you've beaten your little mentor, guide, whatever, you get to go to the best dungeon in the whole game. You get this wonderful reward for going this far, and that's Crayburn Castle. You have not had a chance to change your deck. You have not had a chance to do fucking anything. And you get to go through a whole dungeon. So, grit your teeth and get ready for this whenever I make a second video going over how this all works. So, until then, have fun and watch this video like a whole bunch of times so that YouTube thinks I'm crazy popular. Thank you. So I actually forgot to mention that there is a thing called troop trauma. When troops come into play, they can't immediately act or activate abilities that require them to tap. I cannot believe that I forgot to mention that. It's a pretty important thing. So I've attached it at the tail end here. Maybe in the future I write a script or follow something, but that sounds like work, so probably not. Anyways, sorry about that.